What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to title this video maybe how to be better than most men, but really it's how to be better than average. And to be honest, it applies to women as well. Like, it's not just for men. Anyone can apply this, and it's kind of like this really comes down to like personal preference. You shouldn't be like trying to live like don't get me wrong, I'm a super competitive person, but it doesn't mean that I'm trying to be better than everybody else. It's really not. I don't look at people and be like, oh, they're earning 150k a year, that's what I need to get. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of a fucking sucker mentality, because when you get there, you're immediately going to be looking to the person above you to try and fucking beat them. Do you know what I mean? Or get up to that level. And that's the thing, like with money, it's always like that. I remember being like 16, earning 12 grand a year and thinking, oh, do you know what, if I can just get 15, do you know what I mean? Everything will be all right. And then you surpass that and it's like, oh, but if I just had 21 or 24, do you know what I mean? And then you'll find your expenses will change. Do you know what I mean? You will spend more money because you have more money, and you'll be stuck in the same boat. So that's worth noting as well. But success does not mean, it doesn't equate to happiness. Do you know what I mean? If it did, all these rich stars wouldn't be fucking overdosing and fucking killing themselves. Do you know what I mean? You look at Chandler from Friends or whatever, he just died recently. If you look at the success and the millions that he had, you look at people like Amy Winehouse or fucking Kurt Cobain, or do you know what I mean? The list goes fucking on and on. So money doesn't buy you happiness. So, I guess to kick it off, the average person doesn't know that, and they will never ever know that. So that's one way you can be fucking better than the average person. I've sort of split this video into age groups. Do you know what I mean? Because you'll have different sort of pressures put on you at varying ages. Do you know what I mean? Up until the point you leave school, there's zero pressure. All you have to do is go to school. Everybody has to do that. Do you know what I mean? You're not under any pressure to like provide or anything like that. But after that, I've split it into age ranges of 16 to 21, and then 21 to 30, 30 to 40. Now, there's not to say, I'm 41, I'm outside of all these brackets, so, this shit still applies depending on where you're at. So, from 16 to 21, the average salary, I think, is about, it's like 17,000 or something stupid. Having a good job at a young age is really rare. You're basically, you're just finding your feet in the world, barely. Do you know what I mean? So to be better than the average 16 to 21 year old, if you're thinking about it in a competitive way, which I don't fucking recommend, that's not what I'm saying, but if it was, you'd be trying to earn more than 17,000 a year financially. Do you know what I mean? But remember what I just said, money's not everything. It's not success, and it's not happiness. As a 16, 17-year-old kid to 21, all you're really going to have for you, do you know what I mean, is, your physique, taking care of your fitness, and having goals. Do you know what I mean? You might have a little job, and this applies across the board. Just, I've got saving money as one of the points across all ages. Do you know what I mean? But I don't necessarily mean like saving every single penny or even a percentage. Just don't let the fucking money run out. Other things that young kids get involved in, when you turn 18, you'll be getting into drink and drug culture, partying. Do you know what I mean? These are average things that people do. So if you wanted to be better than average, you should avoid doing all those things, because that's what everybody does. It makes sense, right? And that's the same, you know, across a lot of things that I've said on this channel before. Generally, when you see the mass population doing something, do the opposite, because, you know, things tend to not work out, you know, for many people. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm some sort of pinnacle of success and a fucking enlightened human being. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not. This is just my opinion on stuff, and you know, just sharing something that might be able to help someone, hopefully. So you know, relationships at a young age, like, do get into relationships. Don't just like sleep around. Do you know what I mean? Do get into relationships. Do get yourself experience in being in a relationship. Okay, so moving on to 21 to 30. Now, most people would have started earning a little bit more by this point. I think the average salary for this age range is like 24.5k. You know, most people in this time, they'll be settling down, they'll be having kids or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. Do you know what I mean? I don't even know really why that's coming up in this video. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a good thing to be able to have a family. Do you know what I mean? And be able to provide for them. Do you know what I mean? And you know, the fact of the matter is, especially in this current climate, that a lot of people start families young and they're not able to provide well enough for them. Do you know what I mean? And then they end up working fucking shit jobs or just doing whatever just to make a buck. So it's something to think about, for sure. You know, also around like 30, people lack goals and motivation, because life can, like, you know, life can fucking, certainly for me, and I know for a lot of people, do you know what I mean? Life can fucking beat the shit out of you by this point. And you would, you know, people start to think, oh, what's the fucking point? You know, people give up on their dreams and shit like that, and their ambitions, and they just go on autopilot. You're just working for money. So if you were to be better than the average person, try not to do that. You know, for men, you should, you know, you should be training when you're younger. From 21 to 30, you should definitely be focusing on your training and your diet. And because these are things that are going to serve you in years to come. And you should definitely have started like a skincare routine. I can't actually believe that I'm saying that, because, you know, growing up, like, if you had a skincare routine like when I grew up, you would be called a homosexual. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you would get bullied, you would get fucking tormented. So it's mad, like, how things have changed. But I have a skincare routine, do you know what I mean? I don't want to look like fucking dog shit, basically. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, having a high level of self-care and enough self-worth and self-love to want to take care of yourself, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, those are the sorts of things. I mean, obviously, you know, saving money and investing, if you're into that, then by all means, do you know what I mean? You should be doing that. You should be thinking about your future. So getting into the 30 to 40 bracket, you know, men by this point, you know, you would have settled down. The average person would have. You know, you might be paying a mortgage, and through the earlier stages, you might have been saving up for a mortgage. But is that even a good idea? I mean, I'm on the fence, to be honest. I don't really care about having a mortgage. It's such a fucking massive loan, and you're going to be paying back more than you borrow, like by double or more. So, you know, you better getting a mortgage and paying back fucking an extra, you know, 200k, say, if you got a 200k mortgage. Or you could just rent and you can keep that fucking 200k, do you know what I mean? And maybe start a business or put it into something else. So it depends where you're at. And also, you know, the current fucking market, like renting is more expensive than getting a fucking mortgage. So if you've got a down payment, you know, it might suit you better to fucking have a mortgage in its current state. So it's neither here nor there, really. I mean, I know people that fucking live in a shoebox and then they're extremely happy. They're more happy than fucking most people you will know. Do you know what I mean? You know, one guy in particular I know, he doesn't have a lot of outgoings. He likes to travel a lot. He literally lives in a fucking shoebox. He just gets money together and then he fucks off for like 4 or 6 months and comes back and does it all again. And this guy is like 60. Do you know what I mean? And he's lived like that for a long time and he's very, very happy. Do you know what I mean? He gets to experience things. He gets to experience other cultures. So that's cool. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, these are the sorts of things you would think about. You know, you think like you have to be, when you reach a certain age, you have to have a certain sort of status. Do you know what I mean? You should have a fucking nice car. You should have had kids by this point. You should have had a house by this point. You know, maybe you should have had a house abroad by this point, or, you know, you should be having 3 holidays a year, or, do you know what I mean? You want your salary to be fucking over 200k or whatever. But, you know, these are average thoughts. These are average things that people do that we think about. So, you know, to go a little bit more into the other side of it, really, I mean, is just not doing what fucking average people do. If you want to be better than average, do you know what I mean? Forget about terms of finances and, you know, financial gain or objects and possessions. Do you know what I mean? It's a very average thing to do. You know, the average person doesn't save money. You know, we live in paycheck to paycheck. And you know, like I said, just, you don't have to save half of what you earn. You don't. You just have to keep a little bit, just so you don't let it run out. That's my advice. You know, other things that average people do, they don't work hard. They don't. You know, they don't really apply themselves to things. They don't, you know, the average person doesn't train, you know, regularly enough. I know it's more popular now, but the average person doesn't. Do you know what I mean? The average person, you know, doesn't maintain a healthy diet. They don't take care of themselves. And I'm not saying like, you know, I have cheat meals. Do you know what I mean? Who doesn't? But I'm just saying, a majority of the time, you should be doing your fucking absolute best to make sure that you put good food in you. Like, it's common sense. The average person doesn't do that. You know, getting older into you know, 30s or whatever, the average man doesn't have a skincare routine. Do you know what I mean? And they look like dog shit. They do. Most people. You know, the average person doesn't have faith in anything except the pound note. You know, they don't have a faith. They don't believe in anything. So believe in something. You know, the average person doesn't meditate. I made a video about it already on the channel, but, you know, it's so fucking good for you. It's so beneficial. It's so good for relieving stress and calming. Do you know what I mean? And life is fucking stressful. So, like, why wouldn't you want to implement something to help that? The average person doesn't do that. So if you want to be better than average, fucking meditate. You know? The average person's not like, you know, they're not kind. They're just not. Like, people, we all do it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm no saint. We all run on like selfish motives. We're not kind enough. You know, I don't mean like, don't mistake kindness for weakness. I'm not saying you need to fucking cower and let people walk all over you. Do you know what I mean? You need to be firm when necessary, but you should be kind. You should be polite, and you should be generally a fucking decent human being, you know, because the average person is not, you know. People don't do things for their community. The average person doesn't, you know. They don't do anything to be of service for someone else. Like I was just saying, like running completely on selfish motives, you know, that's what the average person does. Men, like young men, even middle-aged, like single men, like the average man is on at least fucking 2 dating apps. Do you know what I mean? So don't do that. That's what the average man does. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like, you know, if you have to rely on a dating app to get women, it's a problem, you know? Because you can't build a relationship from scratch. You can't communicate properly. You're just meeting up with some fucking random bird who you don't know where she's been just so you can fuck her. Do you know what I mean? Again, it's the selfish motives. Do you know what I mean? There's no like groundwork, or there's no game to it. There's no chase. Do you know what I mean? I think that's bad for young men. I do. And I think, you know, especially the younger generation, if they didn't have Tinder, they would never touch a pussy in their lives. You know, and it's sad. It's really fucking sad. You know, the average person, you know, drinks. I mean, I know a lot of fucking guys who drink every single day. Every single day. Do you know what I mean? The average person lives for the weekend. You know, all weekend getting pissed, doing drugs, and sometimes in the week as well. Do you know what I mean? Oftentimes. So like, if you want to be better than average, don't do that, you know? The average person doesn't live a fulfilling life. You know, they give up on their fucking dreams, their goals, their ambitions, and they fucking hate their jobs, their lives, and they probably hate them fucking selves too. You know, so if you don't want to be average, don't do that. You know, average is the fucking enemy. Okay? Don't be average.